The Mandalorian is doing more harm to the Star Wars legacy than upholding it. And a sore example of that is its recent episode, titled Chapter 22, Guns for Hire, which is a total cringe fest. While the first few episodes seem to divide viewers over the side stories and lack of a cohesive narrative, this episode is really causing some serious backlash, and rightfully so. Some are saying that the season is straying too far from its original narrative, while others are finding the guest stars and plot to be cringe-worthy. It's no surprise that this episode currently has a pitiable 6.4 audience score on IMDb. Not only is this score the worst of the season, it is the worst rating for the entire series. In fact, out of all the episodes released so far in the current season, 3 are the worst reviewed of the entire series. Although there are a bunch of things going wrong in this season, the most disappointing feature of the Chapter 22 episode is its cameos. The episode features Jack Black, Lizzo, and Christopher Lloyd, and let's just say, it's not going down too well with us fans. The show has always brought in big names, and the likes of Michael Biehn, Clancy Brown, or even Christopher Lloyd were all well suited to the Star Wars universe. Jack Black and Lizzo, on the other hand, are on an entirely different plane of existence. The Mandalorian might be an effects-heavy space western, but it's always treated the Star Wars mythos with reverence and respect. By bringing in these massive pop culture icons, it risks becoming something else entirely. It is almost as if the show is conditioning its audience into expecting a new who's who every week, rather than focusing on effective storytelling. Spoilers alert, but this specific episode's story felt like a Scooby-Doo mystery with a Star Wars spin, complete with a villain who monologued before getting zapped by Bo-Katan in an anticlimactic manner. And ironically, this duel between Bo-Katan and Axe Woves was perhaps the only significant story development in the entire episode, coming only towards the end. For the remaining parts, the show seems to be using cameos and some tropey elements, the most weird one being a droid bar, to cover up for its directionless and mediocre writing. It is also a bit disappointing that the show is focusing more on Bo-Katan's arc, with Din and Grogu's father-son relationship seemingly taking a backseat. One might even question Din's presence in the show altogether. Coming back to the cameos, Jack Black and Lizzo play Captain Bombardier and the Duchess respectively, the royal leaders of the planet of Plaza 15. Lizzo having a ball with Baby Yoda was kinda bizarre, but it also seemed like a parody, shattering the fourth wall without even intending to do so. Meanwhile, Jack Black's energetic personality could have made for a great character, but he was handed the job of a bumbling fool who fawns over his wife. And despite some solid motivation from Lloyd's separatist character, the writers failed to execute the plot in a way that truly showcased his potential. In recent years, the concept of linear franchises has disappeared, as franchises are continuously rebooted and reimagined with fresh ideas. The Star Wars franchise, which has existed for over 45 years, is officially following this trend and becoming a shared universe, much like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. However, the flavors start to get diluted when creative decisions are overshadowed by commercial decisions. Using tropes as distractions from good storytelling takes the soul away from content. That has been the wall which Marvel frequently runs into, and that is exactly what is happening with Lucasfilm since its acquisition by Disney. George Lucas's original trilogy was followed by the prequels, but when Disney purchased Lucasfilm, they created a sequel trilogy with additional anthology installments to ensure a new Star Wars movie was released every year. After Solo flopped, there was a need to rethink their approach. Fortunately, The Mandalorian was a success, but the announcement of a new James Mangold-directed Jedi film and a crossover with The Mandalorian has left fans divided. While the shared universe concept isn't a bad thing, the Disney era of Star Wars hasn't been entirely successful, leading fans to be skeptical. The Mandalorian is more than a Star Wars spin-off. It is about more than just celebrity guest appearances and wacky hijinks. It's about a rich, expansive universe filled with characters and stories that people have grown to love over the course of several decades. It's expected to become a cultural phenomenon that would capture the imagination of fans all over the world. But the goofy and commercialized turn that the show is taking makes us question its place in the Star Wars legacy and the dent it makes to that legacy. If The Mandalorian continues down this path, it risks losing the very essence of what makes Star Wars so special.